In this video, I'm going to talk about a common problem that thousands of grapplers have in regards to playing the closed guard, and that's stopping your opponent from standing up. And this is a very good thing to focus on because if your opponent is able to stand up, it gives them a more effective method to open up your closed guard, and we want to make it as hard as possible. So let me give you some tips and some concepts, very simple ones actually, that are going to help you make it much harder for your opponent to stand up. So the first thing here is I'm going to have the closed guard here. Now, one of the biggest things that happens is your opponent is that you have your hips down low, right? A lot of people have like a lazy closed guard here. Their hips will just be resting on the mat, and there's like a space over here to where like it's going to be much easier for them to utilize that so that they can stand up. So if I'm here like this, right, and I have my position, there's a space basically right underneath you that needs to be covered, so that way it makes it much harder for your opponent to stand up. So if I cover that space here, right, so let's say first I don't cover that space. I'm just going to try to stop him from standing up without touching him. So he goes to stand up here. It's like it's super hard. Like, it may not look like it, but I actually like thought about stopping him and trying to see what I could do physically, and it didn't work. But if we go back here and I go like this, so now look, I'm driving my heels down. If you notice, he got up, but it was a struggle. It was a much more of a struggle compared to if I didn't do that. When I didn't do it, he popped up in like a half a second. But when I did do that, what I did was, let's go back, is I drive my heels down towards the mat and I bring my hips up. I close that space there. I want to basically be connected with him. This is going to make it much, much harder for him to stand up. And then I combine that with driving my hips in to work to break his posture, right? So we're doing these different things. If he goes to stand up and he keeps doing that, and I use that to break his posture. Lots of times I'll do, if I know somebody is going to stand up inside my guard, all I'll do is just keep my hands down like this. We'll use the concept of following the hands, and I'll wait for them to try to stand up. So when he goes to stand up, he keeps going, boom, I punch my hips underneath him, and then I break his posture, and then I get him from there. It's a very good method of breaking your opponent's posture as well. It's also a baiting method. I'm baiting him to stand up so I can break his posture, but we want to cover this space here like this. Have everything covered. You don't want any gaps in here. So it makes it much harder. So when he goes to stand, I'm stopping him. I'm standing. Boom. And then I got him. If I don't cover that space, then it's going to make it harder. I'm basically going like this here. And I'm covering any gaps that are stopping him, that are giving him space to freely stand up. Because essentially what I'm controlling his hips. I'm using my hips to control his hips. If my butt is just lazy, like this, and it's down low, my hips are not controlling his hips. I'm making it much easier for him to basically utilize his hips to stand up. So that's one thing that we can do in particular. The other thing that we can do is we can pay attention to what side he's standing up with first. Because more often than not, especially when you're doing this proper hip positioning, they're going to stand up with one leg first, all right? You're going to have the rare few who do this, who just go like this, boom, right? But more often than not, when you have your pressure good, meaning you have your hips up and you're closing those gaps, it's going to be hard for them to do that as well. So if let's say I have this, and bad position first. Let's say Russ goes to pop up both feet at once. Boom. That's bad hips. Okay? Now we have good hips. It's not an option. It's not an option for him to do it. He had to revert back to doing one leg first. Okay? So good hips means good position, means much harder for him to stand up. Okay? That's a very important concept to think about. Now with that, if I know which leg he's going to stand up with first, or if I notice which leg he's going to stand up with first, I can use that to my advantage as well. So if we're here like this, right, and I know Russ is going to step up with his right leg first here, I can use that to turn him. Basically turn him to the leg that he didn't stand up with yet, and it's almost like a free sweep. If you think about it, it's almost like the John Wayne sweep of the closed guard. Right? If you're familiar with the John Wayne sweep from half guard, which is that quick, like, boom, quick tilt that tips them over, it almost feels and looks like you're doing absolutely nothing. It's the same concept, right? But we have to see which leg they step up first, and more often than not, they're going to lean to a side. And by having this good hip pressure, you can actually sometimes do it to where they move so slow that you're able to basically see what they're doing. So if we change our angles here, let's say this time he steps up with his left leg first. Look, I'm turning him. At this point, it becomes much harder. I'm basically taking out his base with his left leg. He physically can't post out with his left leg when I do that. Or his right leg, I'm sorry. So I'm going here. When he goes to post out with his right leg, it's hard. He physically cannot do it. And then I can use this to get his posture. Or if I time it right, I might even sweep the person. I do talk about this in another video as well in the Grappler's Guide. So if you watch that video in conjunction with this video, you're gonna have even more tips as well. So if we turn this way, all right, he goes to step up. Boom. Here, I can use that to possibly sweep him. I can just boom, get up. That's one of the most simple free sweeps that you have. But you have to use that in combination with good hip pressure on your opponent. Don't let your hips be lazy. Lazy hips means easy for him to stand up. Active hips means harder for him to stand up. And then timing, when they go to stand, shooting your hips underneath them or shooting your hips to the leg that's not posting up will then be able to give you the ability to break them down or possibly get an easy sweep on them. So play around with this. If you have any questions or comments, post below. Peace.